that I've lost everything to you. You say you wanna start something new, and it's breaking my heart you're leaving. Baby, I'm grieving, but if you wanna leave, take good care. Hope you have a lot of nice things to wear, but then a lot of nice things turn bad out there. Ooh, baby, baby, it's a wild world. It's hard to get by just upon a smile. Ooh, baby, baby, it's a wild world.
Welcome back, legends, to Who is Your Hero, episode 45. Dane Miller, part 1, rock bottom to real talk. This one's different again. This isn't a highlight reel. This isn't a success story wrapped in a bow. This is about survival. It's about what happens when you're young, a bit angry, a bit lost, and chasing belonging in all the wrong places. It's about Melbourne streets, bad choices, watching your back, and that moment, that split second, when a bloke looks at his life and goes, enough, I want out. Not everyone gets that moment, that chance. Not everyone takes it. Dane did. Now, before we go anywhere near the heavy stuff, let me tell you how all this started. I met Dane on the tools, roof sheets, Byron Bay. A mate says to me, Buzz, give this bloke a go, he's all right. And I did. Then life rolls on. I end up in Pottsville for a bit, busted up, humbled, trying to get my business afloat after COVID. And Dane's working at the local bait and tackle shop. And I'm not joking, I went there 3 or 4 times a day. And I don't fish. I went there for the yarns. Because out the front of that shop, people from every walk of life would stop and talk. And it was proper talk. There was no spin, there was no masks, there was no bullshit. And that's where this episode lives. This isn't judgment, this isn't glorification. This is about understanding how you lose yourself and how bloody hard it is to get your worth back. We talk bullying, we talk standing up, we talk rock bottom, we talk responsibility. And we talk about something most people avoid, being uncomfortable. Because sometimes you have to hit zero to find out who you really are. This is episode 45, rock bottom to real talk. Dane Miller part 1. And trust me, we're only warming up. Dane Miller, let's get into it.
Matty, it's a fair intro, brother.
Well, it's I met you bloody putting roof sheets on in Byron Bay, eh?
We did, yep, about 2.5 years ago.
Yeah, and Dave O'Neig said to me, give this young fella a chance, although you're not much younger than us, but you're still a young fella. He said, give this bloke a chance. And you were obviously very honest today, Dave, and you're very honest today. We put 2 days, I think, we took to put the roof sheets up. Yeah. But, it's quite interesting because you can never judge a book by its cover, or you can never judge what other people say about it. But I didn't have that influence on me knowing who you were. Dave just said, this kid's all right, let's give him a chance. And that's how we met, listeners. So, if you just talk, and I'll go off the subject a little bit, well, we're going to talk about it, but if you are someone around and someone wants a second chance in life, or a third or fourth or fifth chance, give them a fucking go. Give them a go, listeners, because Dane and I, albeit we're not living in the same postcode anymore. I had a bit of a rough trouble over in Townsville, as we know, but Dane's doing what he's doing, still around Pottsville, and we've got a really strong bond. And it's probably, you can agree with me a lot, Dane. It's probably about storytelling, eh?
Yeah, absolutely, bro. Just being honest and authentic with each other, and just not sugarcoating anything of our life experiences. And I think the more you sort of talk openly and authentically with other people, the more it sort of gives them permission to do the same. And I think that's sort of where our friendship sparked from there as well.
Yeah, and that's pretty cool. We'll go back to Dane was working at the tackle and bait shop in Pottsville, and I was doing fuck all, just filling in time with dog. I tell you, well, I think I'd come back 3 or 4 times a day just for the conversation and probably just observing because we're not going to talk much about what's going on in the world, and we're going to talk about you and me, or more so about you, not about all those other fuckwits that are trying to mess the world up on us. I was popping up to Dave's tackle bait and the coffee shop next door, and we were just talking. I don't know what it was, but it just felt a really good bond, and I was really observant of the people that would come and talk to us too. It was almost like you gave this opportunity for anyone walking past if they felt our energy and Dane's playing. Let's just Dane's playing music of the bloody Weave, the Who, the fucking, and they're not bands, man. They're the corrupt government, and it's funny. And people, he's got signs up there, listeners, that say it's all a scam. I mean, you couldn't project it anymore. But didn't we meet some good people?
Absolutely, bro. And people that you probably wouldn't have thought would have engaged in conversation. I mean, there were stickers plastered up out the front of the shop saying, no to digital ID, and my little famous sign on the shop out the front. The difference between a conspiracy theory and the truth is about 12 crossed it out, 6 crossed it out, 3 crossed it out, 1 month.
Yeah,
those little signs and the little not podcasts, but little interviews and truth moments. From sort of some notable and not so notable people from the last 5 years of the way of the world, just playing on the speaker out the front and some of the people that you'd sort of maybe stereotype as thinking, oh look, it's probably they're in the later years of their life, they're probably not going to be interested in this sort of conversation. They're sort of in their twilight years, maybe they're whatever it might be. I guess I had a bit of that preconceived idea when I after those sort of few years of the scamdemic and stuff. But a lot of the older population wasn't really as engaged in the fight for the truth to come out about things as some of us younger people were. Because I figured they're sort of, they've had their best days and they just want to live their life in, comfort towards the end of their life and everything. But yeah, it was a spin out, man. Like, people from all demographics, all walks of life, all age groups, they'd engage in conversation, and surprisingly, some of the ones who I probably wouldn't have expected just looking at them were some of the staunchest people who were in agreement with our views on the way of the world and geopolitics.
Yeah, it was quite amazing, and they were not faking it either.
No, absolutely not. Bro.
It was deep, and look, I can't remember. I mean, my mind's gone kapoof since the stupid bloody big pharma drugs that put me on to survive. But I had to surrender. But they were really cool. They were really cool times, and it taught me a lot more lessons. And I didn't know I was going to get crooked kidneys and all that. And I was, walking everywhere. But some of those lessons I learned sitting at the front, having a coffee at that bait and tackle shop, and just it's taught me another thing is never judge a book by its cover.
Absolutely, mate. I mean, I know you probably remember Anton, our little mate down there, who's a bit of a lost soul, like.
Yeah, how's he going? Oh, he's not.
He's all right, mate. Like, I don't really speak with him because I don't really sort of like stop in town much anymore, to be honest, except if I'm at the IGA or something. But, I see him walking up and down. He's still a bit of a lost soul, but, like you could just tell sort of, maybe we had very little in common, but, I remember when he first came to town, I think I told you, like, he was obviously sort of just coming out of a life of addiction as well, which I could very much empathize with. And, rather than sort of looking at him like he's some, piece of, what, I made him feel welcome in the shop, and just, if he didn't have money for cigarettes, I'd give him a couple here and there. And yeah, mate, just helped him to try and feel a bit more welcome in the community, like, and of all people, man, like I could relate to that, and I'm not sure if you're sort of wanting to sort of go down that path with the chat tonight. Absolutely happy to if you want to, but, just my sort of life choices have sort of led down that path of having a lot more empathy for people than probably I would have once upon a time. And yeah, something I haven't even told you about yet, brother. I've finally put the, put my foot down, and I've started my Cert 4 in alcohol and other drugs. So I'm about 2 modules into 17 modules to become a qualified drug and alcohol counsellor.
You know, and I'm just going to go back. It's just going to backtrack. And, oh, mate, I'm surely going to get up your younger life. Don't worry, that's coming at you.
That's right, brother.
You're not seeing the Buzz Lightyear on Who Was Your Hero to have a cup of tea with me. You don't know. So you know how I roll. But one thing I learned, and I've always been not a people pleaser, but I've always been a helper, even in my naughty things I did in life and my addictions and mine. But one thing I really felt when I got really crook with this kidney disease, I had to reverse everything I wanted in life, mate, because I was sort of, I had a few things going and probably not in Pottsville, but before that, I was hungry. I was hungry for wealth and what's the word?
Notoriety. Yep.
Notoriety. And so you met me on a bit of a downhill run. You know what was happening in my business, and I was working hard on it. But the fact is, I had to change my life around and to really help people like I'm doing now. Like, man, we've got nearly 300,000 listeners to this podcast. Like, I don't know what's going on, but I think it's just because on this podcast, we don't talk shit. We talk about the elephant in the room and we help people. And you know what? They're grabbing it because they're sick of the fucking spin doctors on mainstream media. Anyway, that's another podcast we might have one day.
Talk about that for 48 hours straight.
Well, I know, but where I'm going with this, and don't get me wrong, we go off the fucking train lines on this podcast every time. But when I was like 3% kidneys and going to die,
yep,
I could give no one nothing unless I got my health right.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, health can be a few measures. It can be addictions. It can be sickness. It can be anything. But I've now learned if I'm not healthy like you are, we can't help nobody. And if we're not worthy, we can't help nobody. And you know what? Because now I'm healthy. Hey, what are you doing, Rox? Yeah, I'll get you dinner later. If we're not worthy, we can't support people. And you know what? We've got massive whys. You've got a massive why. That is great news. You're going to do this cancer course. I've been thinking about doing it, but oh man, I'm too busy with this podcast. But I'm doing the same thing anyway. And then, you know what? I'm the brokest I've ever been in my life, right?
Mm.
But I am the flipping happiest, bro.
Mm.
Because I got my health and worth and my why.
Yeah.
And the wealth just seems to happen. Do you feel anything like that?
Absolutely, bro. Like I sort of chased the corporate dollar and that when I was moved down to Melbourne and, my initial sort of, 10, 12 years down there but and I was saving but I wasn't happy, man. And I guess that's sort of why, in a way I sort of fell into that life of addiction, to be honest with you, because I wasn't happy. And, to be honest with you, man, like it's almost taken me, like you talked about gratitude before, man. Like, I mean, it's something you and I spoke about this a lot, obviously out in the front of the tackle shop, but the gratitude thing is, like I'm grateful for having hit rock bottom. And because, like I don't know, like I think there's a lot of people out there who are far too comfortable in their existence, and maybe a little bit too judgmental of people or things or situations or scenarios that they're not familiar with. And hitting rock bottom was really a blessing for me because it showed me that, like anyone can fucking have a fall from grace, but you're so much more grateful. It's like, I don't know, man. I guess I kind of, if I was to use an analogy, look, I can't speak from experience, but like, if someone lost their sight, say they got a case of temporary blindness for a month or 2 months or 3 months, and then they got their sight back. Seeing everything again after not being able to see everything.
Mm.
It's like you kind of got that new set of eyes on the world. Like you've got that new perspective on everything, and it's gratitude. Gratitude for the smallest things, man. For a sunrise, for catching a fish in the morning, for for my family around me, for having some money in the bank, to be able to put petrol in my car. Like these are things that people take for granted, but until you sort of hit rock bottom or down the path that I went down, a lot of people take that for granted. So, there is a small blessing in that, if you do sort of look at it not from a victim's perspective. Like I think you probably know this about me, man, that no time have I ever said, poor me, poor me. It's like, I was responsible for all of my choices, be it good, bad, or indifferent. And I was responsible for the path that it led me down, and I was responsible for the end consequences. And, and I'm responsible for getting myself on the right path again. And I'm responsible now for probably being a better human being than I probably was in my life before. So, yeah.
Well, going on about that, mate, you're a lot like me. I've owned the shit. I just own it. I hate it. It's not
Right.
I've done some shit things, but did you do that? I said, yep. And, but I was repeating those habits. I'm going to go back because we're heading where I want to head here, but yeah, that's cool, bro. But what, and this is all going to come out and it's great because, we've got the confidence speakers. And one thing I will say, I respect anyone that comes on this podcast, and I've had some rippers, man, that it takes a lot of balls to come on and admit and tell your story. It is a movement of a change of life. Now, I've had guys that have been on the see the nearly neck themselves and they see me in the street, give me a fucking cuddle.
Yeah.
And they say, thank you for listening.
Yeah. 100%.
You know what I mean? So I just put out, because I've got a lot of people going, I want to come on, I'm not sure. But it is things, but I'll come as I'm going to go pretty hard on you because I know you. So,
Yeah, bro.
what was it like for a young Dane growing up? Like your family environment, is it stable, rough? I know your mum's got a new partner, so I don't know about the dad. I haven't ever got it. What did you want to be before life got messy for you, or like in your teen years? When did this, the stuff happen in Melbourne? Like, can you
Man, like, I can't complain with my upbringing, man. I mean, look, as far as stability goes, like my mum and stepdad were, a pretty stable couple. We moved around a lot growing up. My mum and dad divorced when I was really young. Like, I mean, I don't even remember I was that young.
Yep. Yeah.
But, a couple of years in there, which I probably don't really remember either. And then, my stepdad came on the scene and he and mum were together for, most, all pretty much 95% of my life. But he was a good provider, just a good sort of old school, stoic sort of country boy, very smart, very hands-on. He was a golf course designer, but also a project manager. Like, he could actually get on the tools and, drive the bloody, caterpillars and the excavators and the bobcats on golf courses. And, but, I remember sort of seeing him drawing up, contour lines, at all hours of the night. And well, we moved around a lot. So, like I lived in Echuca, I lived in Perth. He did the Vines golf course over there. We lived in Cairns, up at Paradise Palms. I lived in Japan for about a year and a half. He did a golf course over there, and my brother and I went to school. So, like, it was a good upbringing as far as stability and everything. But it's funny, man. Like, we had to adapt. It's funny. My brother and I had to become very adaptable at making friends, and then also being able to sort of like say goodbye at the end of a year or 2 years, wherever it was. So, which is interesting because, I mean, I guess that played pretty well into my sort of career later in life as I became like a business to business sales rep or account manager or a business development manager. So, I developed the ability to become pretty personable, a pretty personable sort of person with people, pretty easy to engage in conversation with them, pretty free flowing, wasn't awkward or anything, as you probably saw with my engaging with customers.
Absolutely. So that was always as a young fella too.
But interestingly enough, not really. I was a very awkward kid. I did get bullied a lot in school. I think I've got a few sort of unresolved issues there, which I'd like to actually, I don't know, speak to you about the 9D breath work that bloke.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm still keen on doing that, man. I really am keen on going down and doing a breathwork session with Gaz this year. Because I still, like, I know in myself, like in my self-awareness, that there's still some stuff deep down that I haven't resolved from when I was a kid and stuff. And I think that probably led to feelings of, inadequacy or like abandonment issues and that sort of shit, which probably led me into that later core life choices.
All right, Townsville, listen up. Let's have a short break and talking about if you're thinking about cooking this week, don't. Rob and Katie at the Australian Hotel have already done the hard work. This is how the week rolls. Smash burger, crispy chips, pot of beer, Monday night, $20. Tuesdays, 400 gram rump, chip salad gravy, $20. 400 grams, that's not a snack, that's a damn commitment. Wednesday, $19, pot and palmy. Midweek sorted, hump day's gone. Thursday, steak, sanger and chips, $15. tradies, office crew, and anyone with taste buds. That's your lunch and dinner sorted. And Friday, the 50-cent wing ding special. Yes, 50 cents a wing, 6 flavours. Bring your back up, and if you stay long enough, I think you can shuck some oysters. Not the other thing, you can shuck them after 4 to 5 o'clock, I think. Sunday, Irish spice bag and a pint of Guinness just to get rid of the Saturday night, maybe hungover sort of thing. $30, that's a comfortable food done properly. Rob and Katie just aren't running specials. They're keeping Townsville fed without smashing the wallet. So get to the Aussie Hotel, support local legends, grab your mates and tell them Buzz sent ya. Australian Hotel, mates looking after mates. And don't forget, punters, hero up. Sorry, mate, but I just want to go in here. So do you think because of the bullying and that, completely opposite, I had the Down syndrome brother, and at 10 or 12 years old, I was punching the shit out of 16-year-olds.
Yep.
Right, just because I had to, and probably got towed up a few times myself. But
when I say like I got bullied because I didn't want to fight back. It's funny, like I put up with a lot of shit, and I tried to be the bigger person, and that was always the message that my mum and my grandparents and my stepdad sort of like, just be the bigger person, walk away, turn the other cheek, all that stuff, and I did that for the longest time, and it persisted until grade 9, and I drew a line in the sand in grade 9, and I just fucking lost my shit, and I ended up having 3 fights in 2 days. And no one ever fucked with me again at school. I figured out, okay, I can look after myself here. I'd never be a bully because I was on the receiving end of it for far too many years, but I knew that I could look after myself, and other people knew not to fuck with me as well.
So you were still a big unit in grade 9?
I was pretty tall and lanky, but yeah, just playing basketball. But I had a lot of pent up anger and frustration about, probably accumulated bullying from, grade 4, 5 onwards. So, that all sort of comes out in one little psycho episode in the schoolyard, and
it's what you got to do, eh? It sorts out the men from the boys.
Look, it was what it was, and like I wish I had have done it sooner. I wish I'd put my foot down sooner, but I learned a lesson that there's, and this probably came into play, in realizing the state of the world, that there is 1% of the population that just will not respond to anything other than you meeting them with their same level of resistance or one-upping it. Whether that's globalists trying to enslave humanity, or whether that's, a schoolyard bully, or whether that's some piss pot down at the local pub. There's always 1% of the population who will just not respond to you walking away, you turning the other cheek, you trying to talk them down. Unfortunately, that's the way of the world, which is why I guess there are police, armies, yeah, they serve a purpose for.
But I think we're going through all this leftist fucking whatever shit you want to call it. I don't want to go down that line too much, but the way I had to do it, I had to stand up, and I wasn't as big as I am now, man. I reckon I was going through school one of the shortest in the class photos, if you look back. But I had this always determination from my father, and he wasn't violent either, mate. I fucking had been hit in my life. But he always says, if it looks wrong, Matthew, deal with me. And I'd come home from school with a weak band or something, and he'd go, what happened? And I said, well, this is the consequences leading up to the event that I've been suspended for 1 week. And he goes, I'm proud of you.
They're all.
And I don't want to put that into the, well, I do want to. I'm not going to lie here or bullshit, because if you're getting bullied or someone at school doing it, it's
stand up for yourself.
As males, stand up for yourself.
Yeah, absolutely.
You go and dob yourself and your teacher or your principal, they will do nothing fucking about it than wrap it up in cotton wool. Any young teens listening right now, and we've got some younger listeners, I don't care what you do to me, but if you're from 10 to 14 and you'll get bullied at school, smack that bloke in the nose. Because you'll never be bullied again.
Absolutely. It's like they say, look, I've fortunately enough, I've never been to jail, but I've been around enough people who were, and that's why you probably encountered a few yourself, and they say the same thing. But first thing you go in there, you're going to get tested, and if you don't stand up for yourself, you're going to be the bitch in there. You're going to be stood over. You're going to get, your commissary's money taken. You're going to get your shoes taken. You're going to, you probably, and a lot worse, which you can, imagination too.
probably tending to be fucked up the ass, but anyway. Yeah.
But it's the reality of it, mate. Like you got to stand up for yourself at some point.
Yeah, just don't lean in to be popular. Now, I've maybe in the younger years, I don't even know if I did it. I was the youngest of six. I was empowered by my parents, my brothers and sisters, looking after a special needs brother. I don't ever think I got told off. Now, is that good or bad? I don't think so, because right now, I'm still the same, mate. If I'm at any venue, anything like that, and I see one of my close mates get picked on, actually, they don't have to be friends of mine, Dane. I can see someone down the street getting picked on that I don't know in my life, that I'm ready to go in and get myself a fucking hiding for.
Yeah, well, you like me, mate. You stand up for the fuck. That's why I got that tattoo on my forearm, bro. The only thing necessary for the triumph of evil is for good men to do nothing.
Yeah, and if they want to make us lefty, surreal, and weak, they can control us. And there's no way knowing they're going to control the gang. It's not a gang either. It's just normal blokes, toughening up. And, you talked about that comfortability before.
Mhm.
I think a lot of people in this world, especially Australia, need to get fucking uncomfortable for a while.
Absolutely, bro.
Until they get uncomfortable and think about shit that they're about to get taken off them or fuck up or fame. I know 3 spurts of being broke. 0 isn't that bad because you find yourself.
100%, mate. And you're grateful for everything thereafter because
Mate, it's amazing being happy with nothing.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's scary to do. Like the punters listening to us, they might be feeling that pressure. They're about to lose a business, a wife, a family, their children, whatever.
To not to digress too much, but as you and I have probably spoken about before too, that fear of having nothing was exactly what was used to coerce people in recent years to do something that most people didn't really want to do.
Yep.
So if those people had that strength of character to realize that, hey, I can hit rock bottom or I can hit 0 and come back, I think a lot more people in this country probably wouldn't have bent the knee.
Absolutely, because they're looking about how they're going to be judged.
Yeah.
And I don't really give a flying fuck what anyone thinks of me anymore, because I am so morally strong, and I've met my past demons, and there's probably a couple more I've still got to meet, like you.
Yep.
And Gaz's breath work would probably get that out of me, but that seemed to me right now scary. Anyway.
We should head down for a session of it together, mate.
Oh, fucking hell. There's be some big cuddles happening, because that really scares me. But it's probably my last edge.
Yeah, that's
just scared, because there is something still eating me inside, but I don't know what it fucking is.
Yeah, I know. That's the same thing, bro. I just know that that 1 or 2% really deep down that I've suppressed. I don't know what it is. Like, it doesn't affect me day to day, but I can feel it there, just in those quiet moments. There's still that 1 or 2% that I know that I haven't addressed or dealt with.
So let's keep rolling this. So you year 9 was it, or grade 9? Is that year 9 in secondary school?
Yeah, grade 9, second year of high school.
Where were you, Melbourne?
No, I was at Miami High School on the Gold Coast.
Oh, what a place to be as a teenager.
Yeah, I was one of only a few non-surfies there. So I was the kid playing basketball, wearing baggy shorts and like a bloody Chicago Bulls hat in a school full of surfies with bleach blonde hair, wearing bloody billabong and rip curl, and that in and of itself was a bit of a clash sometimes, but
yeah,
that's yeah.
So you 15 or 16?
At that age, at year 9, I was 14.
Yeah. So was there any influence of the surf world and all that? I understand. Was there any influence of rec drugs going around then?
Not at that age. Like, look, a little bit of weed and stuff. I was friends with a couple of Kiwi lads, and just, I don't know, they always used to call us homies, back in the 90s, homies and stuff, blah blah blah. So yeah, just a few of those boys, sort of a couple of Kiwi Filipino lads. There was a little bit of pot here and there, or having a few beers at a park that someone managed to get someone to buy a few tallies at on a weekend, but other than that, it was just school and just playing basketball. Like, I played rep basketball on a Friday night, played for my school and stuff, and I was a pretty level sort of kid. Like, I wasn't great at school. I think I probably had a bit of bit of that inner knowing that it was sort of an indoctrination camp. Probably maybe a bit of undiagnosed ADHD as well in there. I was a bit of a class clown sometimes, just trying to make things a bit more interesting that seemed pretty dull and boring.
Was that attention seeking, you think, now, or was it just
maybe, yeah, maybe. I don't know. Maybe a bit of rebellion. Maybe just intuitively rebelling against the system, bro. I don't know.
It's interesting you look back, and I'm just firing these out to get to where I want to go here. But so you're doing a bit of weed and a bit of alcohol back then, you reckon? Everyone was.
It's very minimal, bro. But you know what? It's interesting. Like my dad, who he hasn't really played too much of a part in my life, to be honest with you. But my brother and I'd sort of go and visit him every 6 months on little maintenance visits. Whether it was Adelaide or Darwin, he was a air traffic controller for his career, and so he moved between Adelaide and Darwin. But I ended up going to live with him for a year when I was 13. Ended up staying down there after a maintenance visit, and yeah, it. I found out what he was really like as a father, which was pretty disappointing. But I'll say this: he gave me the freedom to me and my friends, if we wanted to try a bit of pot, blah, 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 they had some in the house, and it was done under supervision.
Yeah.
So we weren't doing it and running amok around the neighborhood and, keying cars and, breaking into cars and all that sort of shit. It was done under supervision.
Like they're doing now.
Yeah. Yeah. So for the longest time, bro, until I was until I sort of fell into addiction, like around the age of probably 38 or 39, I was pretty much I wasn't even a big drinker, to be honest with you, because I kind of got the experimental phase of like pot and drinking out of my system when I was like 13 or 14 at his place.
Mm.
So for me, it wasn't like a big thing. Like when, my brother didn't go down that same path. So when he hit schoolies week at friggin' 17 or 18, he lost his mind and he went out and he got shit-faced for 2 continuous weeks. And, unfortunately, mate, he's probably never really come off it,
Yeah.
which is sad. But, yeah, so in a way, I kind of got the experimental side of, smoking pot and drinking out of my system when I was like 13 or 14. So it wasn't a big thing for me, when a lot of my schoolmates were finding that out at, 17, 18 over schoolies week and stuff. So in that regard, I probably got it out of my system for the bulk of my life up until that sort of, 38, 39.
So you're going with me now, and this is interesting. I love this shit because it's really similar to what I was doing. You were basketball and all that, but I was very, very involved with the AFL and coaching country clubs and all that, and quite good at it. Unfortunately, or fortunately, there's a big culture in those footy or rugby clubs. There's a lot of piss drinking.
Yep.
There isn't I don't know now because I've been out of the system for a while, but there wasn't a lot of drugs. There might have been a bit of weed for some of the supporters. I don't know, but we were playing a level of football that if you did any of that sort of shit, mate, you wouldn't get a game.
Yeah.
So you're telling me, from your younger years were more just being Dane and then playing your sport and basketball out, and the experimenting, if it ever was, with being part of your identity was with 38 years of age. All right, legend, that's where we're going to land this one. Right there is what real talk sounds like. No polish, no practicing, no pretending, no victim mindset, just 2 mates having a yarn about what's going on in life. Bloke's owning his own choices, owning his past and rebuilding from the inside out. And if you listen closely, this isn't just Dane's story. It's about every one of us who's ever drifted, lost your hero, I suppose. Every bloke who's ever hit rock bottom. Every person who's thought, how the hell did I end up here? But legends, here's the truth. Rock bottom can either bury you or build you. And what I respect about Dane is this. There's no blame. There's no excuses. Just full responsibility. That's strength. That's hero-like. And this is only part 1. Because part 2, coming soon, we go deeper. The younger years, the Melbourne chapter, the addictions, the choices, the turning points, the people that helped, and the rebuild that really changed the direction of his life. So if this one stirred something in you, buckle in and stick around. Part 2 is going to go bang. Now, before we sign off, I want to give a big shout again to 2 absolute legends who back this show and back the community properly. Rob and Katie at the Australian Hotel Townsville. With State of Origin season rolling in, new merch, cold beers flowing, and they just don't talk about supporting locals, they actually just do it. They support Grab Life by the Balls, they support Real Conversation, they support this podcast, they support men's, women's and teens' mental health. So if you're in Townsville and you're looking for a feed, get in there. Grab a feed, have a yarn, support the people who support the bloody tribe. And if today's episode hit home for you, bloody share it to someone that might need it. Message a mate. Check on someone that's gone quiet. Because being a hero isn't about being perfect. It's about being honest. It's about standing up and choosing better. This is Who Is Your Hero? Episode 45. Rock Bottom to Real Talk Part 1 with Dane Miller. Part 2 coming soon. Buzz out, hero up, and remember, we all want you to stay one more day.